Hello, today I'm joined by my guests Matt Kemp-Smith and Clifford Thomas from the Letting Partnership. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well indeed.
Good. How are
Good
you,
to
David?
good to have you both with us today. I was about to say it's been quiet in the letting space, but it has been a buzz with all the sort of upcoming changes, and it feels like a space that is very much fast evolving for agents. The burden of compliance, which we don't talk about enough, is there and it's ours to own. And we're all trying to sort of deal with it in different ways. But there are some really clever ways you can deal with it, and some really clever people that can help you along the way. And hopefully, I'm sat with two of those today. If I haven't over-egged the promise there, Clifford, what I'd
Come on,
like
Matt.
to what I'd like to invite you both to explain is for those people that have been living under a rock and haven't come across the Lettings Partnership
Right.
yet. What is the
Yeah.
basic proposition? What problem are you solving for agents out there?
Well, the top line from the letting partnership is as a company, ensure that client money is in safe hands. So we've been around for over 20 years now and providing client money services. And we have two key products, which is one, our outsourced client accounting, and two is our client TLP assured. And many of your agents already might be using our health checks and some of our CMP audits. And to give you some side of scale, we probably process and handle about £500 million worth of client money every single year. And our audit side, my audit team will probably be looking at over £2.5 billion worth of client money every year. So there's quite a lot of stuff going on there. Our TLP Assure product, which really is where the compliant piece comes in, is brings together kind of three key things. One is tools, two is guidance and support, and three is quite importantly independent verification. But if you're going to ask me what's the main purpose of the letting partnership, I suppose I'd say to you, we help agents demonstrate professional standards with confidence, and we also take away the risk of managing client money. That's kind of it,
And
really.
that risk, I know it's not necessarily what we're focusing on today, but that risk is something that is the reputation of an agent, effectively, isn't it? It's their entire
Yeah,
business. So
yeah, it's their entire business.
how you handle
Yeah,
the client's money and how safe that money is, and the
yeah.
trust that they put in you as an agent. If you can quantify that, if you can demonstrate that you're doing that properly, a lot of us say we're doing it properly. You'll never know what's going on behind the scenes, but when we're starting to sort of have that independently verified, that's something that you can effectively market on the back of that, can't you, as an
Yeah,
agent?
well, we could potentially touch on that as well. I think we should touch on that during this webinar. That's one of the key focuses
Fantastic,
here. Yeah,
fantastic. So if you don't mind, I'm going to. We've talked about a changing lettings landscape generally, and there is much talk of sort of professional standards and perhaps what regulation may look like in the future. And I know that we're moving slowly and gradually towards that sort of environment generally. But how would you say that the lettings landscape has changed when it comes to those professional standards, and what does it mean for how landlords now choose their agents?
Yeah, well, the lettings industry has gone through a significant shift over the last few years. Obviously, regulation has increased, landlords are more informed than ever, and tenants have a much clearer understanding of their rights. The days of compliance being a quiet back office function, they're gone. And agents are now operating in an environment where their professional standards are visible, and more landlords are looking for agents they can truly trust. And transparency, I would say, is at the heart of that decision.
And,
yeah,
and and I suppose that good agents will tell you that trust is everything that we're trying to communicate constantly to an audience, whether you do sales or lettings, but
yeah,
particularly in the letting space, because you're trusted with money. You're trusted very
yeah.
often also with
Dave,
standards that can mean life or death if in safety terms. Yeah, that's really important, isn't it?
my take on this, David, is that the industry kind of operates multiple CMP schemes, right? And each scheme has different reporting approaches. different levels of scrutiny as well. So as a result, agents under different providers to you may go through completely different processes. So
Yeah.
this sort of kind of creates a challenge. The standards are not always visible or comparable. So agents, my take on it is that agents who are independent verified can clearly demonstrate their standards so they can remove ambiguity away from their landlords, and so that we talked earlier about commercial advantage. They will stand out from their competitors, they will gain trust more quickly, and they end up differentiating themselves from those others in the high street. And that's a really big deal now. What makes you different? My take on it is that most of the agents looking at this webinar today will be good agents. Any agent where you see something about compliance and being good, the good agents will want to look at it and want to find out more, because that's just the way that they work. And the agents who aren't interested just aren't interested, so they're not going to bother. But it's so this is all about what we're trying to say to agents is give them tools which are really easy for them to manage, easy for them to use, very quick, but it just helps them one sleep better at night, right? But um, just promote and show how they're different, and just what we're trying to do is pivot compliance from being a must-have to a commercial advantage. I suppose that's why.
So how practically does an agent turn their compliance standards into something visible and tangible? And what's the missed opportunity perhaps for the agents that are not doing this or not able to clearly demonstrate this?
Well, it starts with getting those standards independently reviewed and verified. So once you have that verification, you need to be putting it everywhere. You need to be putting it on your website, in your branch window, in your conversations with prospective landlords. And the agents who do this effectively treat their verified status in the same way they treat any industry accreditation. TLP Assured was built around this exact idea, giving agents the tools to make their compliance visible through things like you've got a trust badge, a QR enabled window sticker, a public listing on our Find an Agent map. And that way, both landlords and tenants can independently verify the high standards that the agents are already committed to.
Yeah, yeah. My take is, sorry, David.
Oh, go on, Clifford.
Well, my point is, many agents many agents are already managing their CMP requirements. They're doing everything correctly, and they're maintaining accurate records. The missed opportunity for them is visibility. So if their standards aren't visible, there's no commercial return on that effort. It's just a cost. From a landlord's perspective, you're the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So the reality is doing the right thing and not capitalizing on it.
Then by extension, my next question would be, well, how should agents be talking about those compliance standards with landlords and tenants? And because there's an education piece there, and what advice would you be giving to anyone thinking about taking their standards to that next level?
Well, it's
sorry,
the next level. No, Matt, I'll let you. Do you want to answer that, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, rather than a vague reference to being fully compliant, agents should be able to point to something concrete. So like a CMP health check they've completed, a status they've earned, such as TLP Assured, or a public listing that a landlord or tenant can verify independently. You need to be direct about what that compliance means in practice. So how is your client money handled? What protections are in place, and what independent processes have confirmed it? The conversation then really shifts from you'll have to take our word for it to here's the proof. And
we can demonstrate it.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's a far more compelling proposition, particularly with landlords who have been burned before.
And so just to sort of reiterate this isn't you're not competing with any of the particular schemes, and this doesn't represent additional compliance burden to agents. Agents already have to do all of this, don't they?
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, there is such a thing as compliance fatigue, but most of them are going to have to go through these processes of proving things and actually sort of demonstrating things, I suppose, as a result of CMP renewal on their memberships, using you guys to as an independent verification and getting that visibility allows you to tick all of those boxes that we've already spoken about, but gives
Yeah.
you a bit more commerciality as well out there in
I
terms
think
of
I think one of the challenges many agents have is what makes you different, isn't it? I mean, there's the whole thing around, so, it's the journey through your company. So in most estate and letting agencies, the difference within their business are the people who run and operate the business. They all go through they have their CRMs, they have their
yeah,
marketing and their processes, but it's how the people operate those, and it's the level of service that they give back to their customers that helps them win the business and their reputation around that service. And they will really push that and promote that. But when it comes to compliance, for some reason, it's like a dusty thing in the corner. And actually, the amount of money I turn up to a lot of events, and which comply, where agents are there to sort of do to get their CPD training and stuff like that, and they take it really seriously. And they really pride themselves on running a really good client account processes and systems, but they often don't shout about it. And yeah, that's what we're trying to say to agents is pivot away from saying this is just a must-have to a look at what we've got.
I think just speaking aloud as an agent, I think the reason for that very often is the people that sort of do the marketing side of a business and the people that do the compliance side of the business are very different creatures.
Yes.
One is an administrative creature that sort of enjoys that they're very,
Yeah.
there's a regimen there. They are very disciplined. They're
Yeah.
very organized, and they know they've got a very clear understanding of their obligations, and they want to
Yeah.
make sure that we keep a clean sheet all the time. On the
Yeah.
marketing side of things, we often think it's the flashy things that catch people's attentions, but in this business, we are ultimately it's a people business, but a
Yeah.
people business that's based on trust. And
Yeah.
I think somehow demonstrating that with something visible, with independent verification, by
Yeah.
using the words audit along the way as well, because that people understand what that means. And I think that gives reassurance to members of the public who,
Yeah.
let's face it, don't know the difference
Yeah.
between the marketing side of the business and the admin. And all they want to know is that they want reassurance. They want reassurance that nobody's going to jail. There are not going to be massive fines involved if I pick the wrong agent. And ultimately, my property's safe, my income stream is safe, and my tenants are safe. And I think that needs to. I think you're right there. I think you've hit on something.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes back to, I mean, the standard thing in all lettings or estate agent business. And I remember Jenny, our old principal, saying it's all around the duty of care. Is that as an agent, you have a duty of care to one, look after the property that you've been entrusted to look after, and also to the tenant to make sure the property that they're in is a good property. And the bit in the middle is the duty of care to look after the money. And I suppose, my take on this, when I first came into this market, I didn't realize just how much money was moving around in rents. I just didn't had no idea of that. And I
Staggering,
talked to
isn't
you,
it?
yeah, it's staggering. I talked to you about it's quarter of a billion pounds, sorry, in client money. When I wrote that down, well, that's three on our client accounting side. That's just over 300 agents. On our audit side, we're looking at close to 2,000 agents. But that's a lot of money, and there are some businesses out there who have got processing and handling more than that. So I just think that it's important that the fact that you are an agent, you take that seriously. You just need to pivot it into an advantage, and just because if you don't, your competitors will.
No,
That's the other thing.
it's fantastic, and don't get left behind because there's over,
Yeah,
as Clifford's already
yeah,
said, there's over 1,000 UK lettings agents out there already turning their standards into a visible and competitive edge, and I think it's something that we all should be doing. Um,
yeah,
just for the lovely people out there, I know that you're lovely and helpful. Obviously, we've demonstrated that today. But what are the next steps if they want to sort of have that conversation with you? Do they just jump on a sort of an online call with you and you run them through it? How do you get to know the businesses?
Do you want to answer that, Matt, or do you want me to do that?
Yeah, well, well, you could firstly go to our website. You can see our products, our range of products and services there. Obviously, that will give you our contact details. You can reach out. We're on social media platforms as well. We're making those high standards across the industry visible in every possible way. We're trying to get that across to landlords, to tenants, as we've been discussing. So yeah, the next step is really give us a call and we'll book something and we'll be happy to
Yeah.
talk through with you. Yeah,
Matt,
with you.
Matt leads on this. So Matt, he's the TLP assured lead. So his role is to lead on this. And so just reach out to Matt really, and if he's and the team here. Hopefully, with all these things, there's various links and stuff put in the profile. You
Oh
can do
yeah,
that.
no, don't worry.
Yeah,
We leave nothing to chance. There'll be lots of links, but
I'd like to say there we're put a link to the TLP assured map as well because that'll give everyone an idea of the agents in their area who are already promoting the fact that they're TLP assured and they can see if they
Okay.
want to become part of that. So I think that's a good thing to do.
that's
Have a
yeah,
look at the map.
that's really interesting. And if
Yeah,
you get on that map and there's a gap in the map, but it's where your business is, then
yeah,
definitely jump on it, take advantage
yeah.
of that because I think it's a USP that other businesses obviously in that area have not yet taken advantage of. So yeah, do it well. Guys, thank you very much for your time today.
That's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. It's been nice to meet you, David.